good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Micah back at it again, here to bring some more knowledge, some more pain, some more death, all that good shit. So today, what we're going to talk about is a very simple principle called dosing and microdosing concerning plants and herbs, that kind of thing. The principle is that too much of a good thing can be poison. Very common principle, very common sense, so to speak. But you can use this to your advantage, especially when working with spirits and entities. For example, I had one person try and send a spirit from the fucking mental wards to attach to me, and thus through contagion bring about insanity. And this spirit was fucking strong as shit. But what occurred to me is that you can burn, let's say for this example, mandrake root, given that it's a very poisonous herb, very poisonous and venomous powers to it. If you burn it in a correct amount, then you can lessen it to where it doesn't necessarily poison the spirit, but it acts as a tranquilizer, so to speak. And therefore that spirit was put to rest, and I could do what I needed to do to remove, any attachments, energetic links, all that good shit that was on me. With that principle in mind, how you dose whatever herbs you're going to use matters very much, especially when you start fucking with shit like wormwood, mugwort, and all other kind of thing, because it has chemicals in it that if you take too much, it can fuck with your liver, it can fuck with your heart, that kind of thing. Now, for those of us who are really into the death current, we're not really worried about that. We're really not worried about that. But for other safety and health reasons, and to not prevent negative side effects that could come from that, you have to be very cautious with how much you use. Now, since we're talking about herbs and poison, there's different levels to poisons and shit. There's tranquilizer level, there's fucking minimal effect level, and then there's a full-on poisonous thing. Now, depending on the way you manipulate the energies and whatnot for whatever your intent may be, you can use this thing for, let's say, healing an illness or building up your own spiritual resilience against different types of poisons. There is a whole fucking cult based just around that principle, taking greater and greater and greater amounts of poison to strengthen your will and your command over your flesh and your mind. This can be expanded to the realm of psionics, where you talk about neurotoxins or psychic neurotoxins that kind of inhibit the connection between the mind and the body. And you can start taking different doses of those kind of herbs and toxins and shit. And with your will, you start breaking the effects of it little by little by little. There are ways to do that on the astral as well. As you continue doing this over time, you'll find that you'll become immune, and you'll attain different levels of immunity to venomous insects like fucking brown recluse spiders, for example. Like, I can get bit by a fucking brown recluse and have been, and it doesn't do shit to affect me. There's no necrotic aspect, no none of that, because I've attained enough control over that aspect of death to where it doesn't affect me, So, another thing is that you work with a plant spirit, whether it's wormwood, ayahuasca, datura, or whatever. You can send out the actual spirit of the plant on the astral to inflict harm, just like you would with a spirit of the dead. But it's going to act very differently, and it's going to come on with a completely different kind of strength to it. Like, I remember I had a friend, she had I think it was the spirit of the mandrake root that appeared to her in her dreams and whooped her ass, yo. I'm talking about whooped her ass. And that goes to show the strength of these plant beings, these mineral spirits, etc. You cannot fuck around and underestimate them, yo. One thing I had to deal with was having dryads of various herbs bound to me to fucking try to, like, you know, hinder and restrain whatever it is that I was doing at the time. And I can tell you from experience, those little motherfuckers are tough. And that's what makes them so great. Because if you can break through it and gain a level of control and mastery over these aspects of nature, these aspects of the cosmic cycle of life and death, then you can apply them for your own use and for your own benefit, you know, to the point to where you can form pacts and treaties with various plants to attain their deeper powers, deeper occult gnosis, and attain a sort of protection from them, to where even if you accidentally microdose the plant incorrectly and you take that shit, the effects will be a little less severe than they would if you did not have that kind of occult protection. Feel me? Now, when it comes to the topic of necromancy and working with plant spirits and shit, what you gotta understand is that these physical bodies of these plants are the corpses, so to speak, that the spirit of the plant and the energies of it inhabit in order to deliver about their effects. Some of these spirits attached to these plants are there by natural means. They just came into being. Or they're there by unnatural means, i.e. sorceries and pacts were done to place these spirits within these plants so they can be vessels, harbingers of whatever blessings and curses that come along. This is much similar to scribes, monks, you know what I'm saying, that kind of thing. How they, through devotion and resonance with their deity, they become a vessel and a channel for the information that deity brings. It's the same exact thing here. So you have a twofold operation that comes together to form one. You have the astral and the energetic and the magical source of it, and then you have the fucking physical source of it. The proper way to harvest these plants, besides, like, you know, setting out offerings and all that other kind of shit, is to attain the physical body of the plant that you're trying to work with. Let's say a rose, for this example. And you blow smoke, tobacco smoke, over the rose, giving tribute to it. And you're also imbuing it with the necessary spark of life that's needed to bring in its own spirit into the plant and give full life and activation to it. Once you do that, you call out to the spirit of the plant. Ask it, command it, whatever, to embody the plant and bestow its blessings and powers upon the plant that's acting as a vessel or a medium to channel those energies. Once you do, and the spirit agrees, all goes well, you can use it in your sorcery however you please. Sticking with the rose example, you can make fucking love oil, truly potent love oil with this. You could fucking do breakup spells with it, you know what I'm saying? You could bind someone to you, that kind of thing. It gets even more serious when you're working with poisonous herbs such as datura, fucking mugwort, etc. Because if you don't go about it the right way, when you actually use the plant, you're going to get adverse effects to it than what you desire. In the case of mugwort, you're trying to use it for psychic awakening, lucid dreaming, etc., right? Well, next thing you know, since you didn't follow protocol, your psychic vision is shut down completely, your dream recall is shit, and fucking you can't sense anything, or you find a form of psychic necrosis and atrophy occurring. You start losing memory of how to perform basic divination, basic readings, that kind of thing. Your mind and your intelligence starts atrophying, so to speak. Like, this shit gets very real, yo. And so that's why it's important to follow a protocol or a set guide that, I'm not going to say appeases the spirit, but it forms the proper astral connections between your psychic body and the psychic body of the entity or plant you're trying to work with. Therefore, that harmony is in place. You feel me? This is especially true when you're working with things such as tobacco and other plant elements, because oftentimes natural forces are not pacted with these plant spirits. You have some demonic forces of nature, such such as in tobacco, that are crossed with the natural elemental and deathly powers of it, thereby bringing very potent, very destructive, very inflaming results to whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, on that note, you have some ingredients that correspond and work very differently than others, especially in the context of spirit work. For example, sulfur, the plant, the fucking mineral and powder called sulfur is very destructive and very dangerous. However, it has multiple aspects to it. You're working with the sun here, the baneful and sometimes the healing power of the sun, depending on how you use it. Now, this sulfur, its flames, its form, arouses the flames within the demonic entity or within the dead that you're working with. Now, if you don't know the kind of spirit that you're using, you can use sulfur and accidentally burn or agitate the spirit you're working with, which will then make it turn on you. If you're working with the demon, it's going to make the demon, the destructive essence of it, more destructive. So you have to be very careful when you're working with these amplifiers. Very freaking careful. Normally at this point, somebody would employ like bindings or something like that to try to restrain the entity and control its area of operation, which can be done, but that's very risky if you don't know what you're doing. And so this really depends upon knowledge and having the proper psychic insight. Once again, your third eye got to be open to really work with this shit, so you know intuitively what to do and what not to do when you're trying to fuck with this shit. In regards to necromancy, this goes into making oils and potions for the purposes of reanimation and resurrection of the flesh. Now, the thing about this is that the most common reanimation formula is the Lazarus agent. You probably heard of that in different places here and there, but it's made mainly of the poison and the venom that come from motherfucking the pufferfish and that which comes from the cane toad mixed together. Is administered and it keeps the person in a state of suspended animation. Now, if you look beyond just the formula itself, you see the general principle that to make a reanimation type herb or oil, powder, whatever, that you have to keep the person in a state of suspended animation to allow a big enough window of time for you to do whatever it is that you need to do. Now, if you look on the black market, that shit is fucking expensive, like Saudi prince level expensive. And you will find out through research and whatnot that you can take a simple plant like wormwood, microdose it correctly, and bring about the same suspended animation state you would get if you had the pufferfish poison and all the other good shit. So then the question becomes, how are you going to administer it to your target or to your victim? For that, I'll leave that up to you. But just know it can be done. And you can start to see these basic principles underneath the various formulas at play, and which is actually one of the deepest levels of necromantic herbology. Not just seeing the vibrational essences and the pathways, etc., but being able to look at a grimoire, a spell in your grimoire, and see the principle of why it's put together the way it's put together. And then you can take those general principles and use those to craft your own spells, so to speak. This kind of goes back to the elements and whatnot, and knowing that fiery herbs are imbued with this kind of spirit that produces this kind of effect. So, okay, if you know that, then you know you can combine, let's say, cayenne pepper with chili pepper, for example, and use that to heat up the work you're doing. If you know that this plant grows by water, therefore is watery and contains those elemental energies, then you know you can't necessarily mix cayenne pepper and fucking some fucking plant that grows by water, only in water, because it's going to have a contrary and adverse effect. Now, if you can work that shit correctly, you can produce something really explosive, you know? Fire, water, boom, that kind of thing. So this shit is really like chemistry. Like, you gotta know what the fuck you're doing. And another thing is, on that note about the chemistry aspect, when you start working with plants, you're naturally going to come across different kind of drugs. Working with the lady of fucking opium or the lady of heroin, that kind of thing. That is some next level shit. Like, that shit is so fucking dangerous. It's ridiculous. But if you know how to work it, and you have the wisdom, you know what I'm saying, all the other kind of stuff, you'll bode well. You will have a good chance of success in attaining really, really, really fucking deep gnosis and insight. This could fucking go into like the pharmaceutical company as well, making different medicines. You start to see how the medicines were made, their energetic purpose, the energies of the ones who put the medicine together, and all the other kind of shit. So if you're on medication for, let's say, lupus or something like that, you can learn how to alter, I don't want to say the biology, but alter the structure, the energetic structure of the medicine. That way you attain more benefit than you would if you just left it in its normal state. You feel me? There's a lot of reasons most people's medicine that they take is less effective than they desire. Outside of normal biological reasons and all this other crap people talk about, big pharma, there's a lot of energetic reasons as well. You're working with something that is synthetic and something that is man-made, in essence unnatural. It's not coming straight from the earth. Therefore, your body is going to process it very differently than it would if you had like some fucking witch doctor type shit. You feel me? Now, I'm not telling you to stop taking your medicine at all. It's there for a purpose. It's there for a reason. But the ritual, working with natural plant spirits and all the other kind of shit, you can give your medicine a different kind of strength that will actually benefit you. You can change the energetic structure so your body treats it as if it did come straight from the earth. That way you don't have all these negative fucking side effects and all this unnatural shit that's happening to you, that's going on. On that note, also, in terms of like working with different kind of entities, different spirits, etc., what can poison can actually heal as well. So let's say you have a spirit that was sent to you, that's been following you, that deals with insanity or something like that. There are ways you can actually heal the entity and send it on its way. Like, if you're a light worker, you're doing crossover type work, that kind of shit, and not cause harm to it. This kind of knowledge places your magic beyond the realm of the living and into the realm of the dead. That way you attain dominion and mastery over all, pretty much. You can even expand this to working with demons, angels, and learn how to alter their energetic biology with these same herbs in accordance with your will. Because what can, for example, in the case of manipulation, mind control, etc., you cannot just do that with humans. You can do it with angels, demons, gods, etc. But you need to know how their energetic structure works, how their energetic structure operates, that kind of thing. Because yes, even gods have an energetic structure. It might not be anything similar to humans, but it's there nonetheless. And if you have this knowledge, if you have this insight, this foresight, then you'll be able to do whatever it is you need to do. There's so many different ways you can go about doing all of this and doing it safely, most of all. So with that being said, I'm going to conclude this video. If you enjoyed the content, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And until next time, stay safe.